I will go ahead and turn it over to Amateur, who is our Langley Alumni Association president.
Good evening, everybody that is actually present for this meeting. On behalf of LAA, I want to thank you for your time and interest to know more about the Langley Alumni Association and what it can offer you as a retiree. Hopefully, you got a chance to take a look at the electronic brochure that was sent out by Melanie. The information that we are going to share with you today is, I think, predominantly contained in the brochure. We'll be offering some additional details, throughout this presentation. So the 7 speakers that you see here is a good representation of the LAA board. And between us, we are going to cover most aspects of LAA. And so that these topics include LAA goals, membership eligibility, LAA organizational structure, our monthly programs, educational outreach, retiree knowledge sharing activities to support Langley, our communication tools for the alumni and others, and how to become a LAA member. Hopefully this information that we are going to get today and that you are going to read from the brochure will inspire you to consider joining LAA to enjoy its benefits and also to engage in the opportunities to help NASA and our community. Like Melanie mentioned, you can ask the questions at the end of our presentation, and we encourage you to use 2 modes to ask the questions. One is you can post it on the chat feature on the screen, okay, or you can raise your hand before asking the question, okay? So these are the purposes of LAA that I'm going to talk about. Some of you probably know that LAA was established by NASA Langley retirees in 1987, many years ago. Those officers also set up the bylaws by which we govern LAA. These bylaws obviously were modified from time to time, and the 5 purposes that I'm going to share with you, purposes or goals, we say that purposes in our bylaws, that's why I'm using that term instead of goals. So this is actually from the 2020 bylaws worksheet, okay? So the first one is basically we promote camaraderie amongst our membership through shared personal experiences from the past and the present with their friends and acquaintances from work. We give them opportunities to listen to technical talks on ongoing scientific and technical work within and outside of NASA. We do bring in a lot of speakers from outside, and also organizing their activities, other activities of interest to the membership. Dan Palumbo, our Vice President and Programs Chair, is going to talk about this in a little bit detail in a moment. So we also facilitate alumni support to Langley public tours, open house events, to help members stay connected with the Langley and also its employees. LAA has recently been working on promoting STEM education for students from K through college, and Linda Bangert is going to elaborate more on this when she speaks. Okay, so LAA works very closely with Langley on the NASA Hall of Honor selection, and Duncan McIver is going to be presenting that information for you. We also keep our membership informed about other nomination opportunities to recognize Langley retirees. One of the examples for that is the Virginia Aviation Hall of Fame in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where 11 out of 120 inducted there are NASA retirees. And lastly, we support Langley by sharing the vast knowledge and experience base of our alumni. And Marilyn Ogborn is going to talk about that when her turn comes. Next one is talk about the membership eligibility. Retirees from NASA and other federal civil service and contractor employees who have either retired or left employment in Langley are in good standing or eligible for this. So you all know what good standing means. They met their employment obligations while not being subjected to any disciplinary action. So there's a definition for that. And current NASA or other federal civil service and contractor employees are also eligible, who are eligible to retire, are also eligible to become members of LAA. For SERS, there are certain conditions, and for FIRST, there are slightly different conditions. That is what we are talking about. There are people who are eligible to retire that still come to the meetings, and a couple of them are actually members of LAA, and they are able to attend the meetings because of this. The last one is the surviving spouse of an individual from the above two categories is also eligible to become a member. So now I'm going to talk briefly as to how we are actually organized to perform the LAA functions. Okay, so as you can see, there are 5 LAA officers here: the president, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, and communications officer. So these are called the LAA officers in our terminology. And these LAA officers, together with chairpersons of the standing committees that are shown here, some of them, the membership committee is one of the standing committees, nomination committee, Hall of Honor committee, website committee with 2 co-chairs, and also the immediate past president. So this constitutes the executive committee. The executive committee, together with the members at large that are listed at the bottom of the chart, actually constitute the board of directors, or the board as we call it in short terms. So they are responsible for all functions of LAA. So we elect a member at large class each year. That's why you see 3 different classes. So in 2022, one class is going to be rolling off, and we will be electing a new set of people as members at large. At any given time, we are required to have a total of 15 to 21 members at large. And as you can see, we have 17 at this point in time. So the last one is to give you an example of the agenda, monthly meeting agenda. So that we hold a general membership and board of directors meetings every second Tuesday of the month. The venue of the meetings has been the NACA room in the cafeteria area until the COVID pandemic changed it. So since May 2020, we have been doing virtual meetings using Zoom. So going to virtual helped us to actually bring in members who actually live out of town. So that was a positive thing that happened because of COVID. So going forward, we intend to hold combined in-person and virtual meetings when Langley allows us to use NACA room after the pandemic is under control. And this setup, we believe, will really help to give an opportunity for our members the flexibility to participate in these meetings from their homes, irrespective of where they live. So just to quickly walk you through this agenda, there's a Zoom meeting, so for which we send out the link to people, so when they come in at 11:30, they get to socialize, so until for about 15 minutes or so. The official meeting starts at 11:45 with comments made by the president, followed by the officers' reports. So you saw who the officers are. The program's chair then introduces the speaker of the month to give the talk. Our April speaker was, as you can see, Mujib Malik, who talked about NASA CFD Vision 2030. Our next month's speaker is going to be Dr. Sarkar, who is actually a vascular surgeon and also a certified yoga instructor. This falls under the general topic. I think Dan is going to talk about all of that. So Dr. Sarkar is going to talk about and also demonstrate yoga as a best health practice for retirees. So the general body meeting concludes after the monthly speaker is presented with a gift. We typically give out the NASA the Langley Alumni Association mug with its logo on it. The president has the opportunity to give that out and announce also the next month's meeting. Okay, so this concludes my overview. And now I invite Dan Palumbo to talk about Langley programs, LAA programs.
Good afternoon. As Damodar mentioned, I am the vice president of the LAA, and as such, I'm responsible for what you might call the entertainment part of our meetings. The primary meeting time that we have is our monthly meetings on the second Tuesday of every month, and pictured here is a typical a gathering in the NACA room of the NASA cafeteria. You see Dominic Miglieri. He's giving a talk on the X-59 sonic boom experimental aircraft. And I want to point out the first row of chairs is usually where some of the board members sit, and then you have the rest of the folks out there. And this was a well-attended event. If you look on the back, you'll see where the Hall of Honor plaques are hung. And that's a really nice feature that we have there. We've been having our monthly meetings remotely since last year, as you might expect, and it's curtailed some of the socializing that occurs before the formal part of the meeting begins. The folks would come early, have their lunch, and sit and talk and catch up on old times. We hope to be getting back to in-person meetings this August, and what we have scheduled is a tour and a lecture at the Mariners Museum with a box lunch. And you're welcome to attend, but you have to register. Registration isn't open yet, but I think that's going to be a great way for us to get together initially. Our picnic will be in September. And if you want to stop by, again, if you register, we can host you. You get to meet some of us during that time as well. So I guess I mentioned the picnic, let's talk about the summer picnic. It usually happens in July. And yes, please change the picture there, Damodar. There we go. And this is an example of a picnic. I don't think you're going to recognize anybody here because this is a stock photo. I looked through our archives and we actually didn't have a picture of our picnic, which for the last several years has taken place on the deck of the NASA cafeteria. Personally, I miss the old picnic site next to what was the activities building, but I'm not sure we could even have a cookout there now, or if the cafeteria would support it. Yeah, well, that's something we're going to work out. But it's always a good time, and I look forward to these, and we hope to have our picnic this year in September. And like I said, if you'd like to come and meet some of us, then you're welcome to. You would have to get in touch with us through Melanie, and we'll send you an invite. The other function we have yearly is the holiday luncheon. That's in December. We get together and have dinner. Again, this occurs during our normal meeting time on the second Tuesday. This was in Angelo's Steakhouse. We're looking for a different venue this year, and we haven't really reserved one yet, and I'm looking around, and we'll see where we end up, but I look forward to that. It's been so long since we've gotten together personally that I'm looking forward to it. Next, we have the outings. Now, this is something new. One of our board members wanted to say, hey, let's get together and go places. And that sounded like a great idea. Then COVID locked us down and we haven't really done any of these things. But if you look over the list, there's a lot of fun things that we could get together and go and do. And we hope to be carrying out some of these visits and tours and having a good time together once we're allowed to under COVID restrictions. So that's an overview of some of the things that we do. And, you know, we have technical talks during the meetings, but we've been trying to pull in some other more with outside interest, but besides just the technical talks. For example, the yoga talk that is occurring in May. So, and again, anybody's welcome to attend these, and you could join our Zoom telecast if you would like. Okay, that's it for me. And next is Linda Bangart, who will be talking about the STEM work that we do. Linda?
Hi. So as Dan said, I'm Linda Bangert. When the LAA reapplied for its 501c3 status, and for those who don't know, that's status as a charitable organization, we needed to add a benefit not just to NASA, but to the larger community. So we undertook a STEM education purpose that would serve students grades K through undergraduate. The very first thing we did to kind of bootstrap ourselves was we created a liaison with the Hampton Roads AIAA section, who has a very robust STEM outreach activity, and we have been assisting them with some of their projects. So the next thing we did was to survey our members to see what they would most be interested in. Damodar, can you move the cursor so we can actually see all the, thank you. So to see what our own members were doing, because we just informally talked, and many of our members are already on their own doing STEM outreach things. So these are the top 5 of what our members said they would be interested in. And for instance, it's tutoring students from middle, high school, and college, volunteering at the Langley open houses, judging science fairs, assisting students with writing their resumes and their presentation skills in either high school or college. And I think we're on tap to do a resume workshop with Christopher Newport University in the fall. And also coaching students through science fair projects, because we see some science fair projects as judges where the students could have been so awesome if they'd had a little bit of coaching, and the teachers are just overworked and don't have time. So there are more, and not all of the activities that our current members are doing are covered in this list. And we hope that if you were to join us as an LAA member, that you would bring some ideas or be willing to do some of these things with us. So that's all I have, and I think up next is Duncan.
Hi, thank you, Linda. It's my honor to describe to you the NACA and NASA Hall of Honor. First, let me describe the mission. The Langley Research Center NACA NASA Hall of Honor was conceived by members of the LAA to honor individuals with exemplary careers at Langley with revolutionary accomplishments on the frontiers of the aerospace sciences. These in the Hall of Honor represent the diversity, and this is very important to us, diversity of talent required to enable Langley to produce the extraordinarily valuable products that are its hallmark. They also highlight employees' innovation, dedication, and expertise that characterizes the Langley culture. Now I'd like to talk a little about the criteria. It requires a minimum of 10 years work at NACA, the Langley Research Center, civil servants, and near-site contractor nominees are eligible. The nominee shall have made sustained contributions to and had far-reaching influence on the leadership, direction, mission, and capabilities of the NACA Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory and the NASA Langley Research Center. The nominee must have made unprecedented and fundamental contributions to the advancement of either a technical and or a science field with significant impacts to the United States aerospace community or commercial or military aircraft, spacecraft, or atmospheric sciences. And finally, the nominee must be fully retired and no longer engage with Langley as a contractor or consultant. Now, we've had 2 classes so far. The first was in 2015. We had 40 nominees, 19 selected as honorees. 4 had their complete career in NACA, and 15 had a shared career, partially in NACA and NASA. And significantly, the recipients included 4 Collier Trophy winners. The next class was in 2017, 2 years later. In that case, we had, that was honored as part of the NASA Langley Centennial celebration. We had 60 nominees, 18 selected in the areas of atmospheric sciences, computing, facilities, management, military aircraft, structures, and supersonics. And this is another picture of the display that Dan mentioned earlier. And I'd just like to note that there's plenty of room on the wall for additional honorees. We're now working on the class of 2022. The agreement between Langley and the LAA, and let me tell you, it's an outstanding partnership together, suggested selection every 5 years. The team's been working to finalize plans for the summer of 2022. The nomination form with instructions will be on the website, Langley website, during the first week of September of 2021. And for additional information about the Hall of Honor, let me invite you to visit our website, langleyalumni.org. And now I'd like to hand the gavel over to Marilyn Ogburn.
Thanks very much, Duncan. I am the committee chair for an ad hoc committee known as the Langley Retiree Knowledge Capture Committee, and this committee was formed to help develop and implement what will hopefully be mutually beneficial methods to facilitate knowledge transfer from LARC retirees to LARC and NASA organizations. Right now, we're focused initially on knowledge transfer to Langley. We are working on a number of different benefits that we hope to provide, including things like enabling participation in activities in areas of expertise or interest to former employees to hone their skills and stay abreast of developments in those areas. We'd like to help enhance and preserve their personal legacies. And things like this can possibly lead to things like additions to one's personal resume. The general approach we're taking is to meet quarterly with Langley Knowledge Services team, which includes Lisa Harvey, who I see is in this meeting. Welcome, Lisa. And we are emphasizing the knowledge services that are of the most interest to Langley senior staff. We're focused on several of those. And we're maintaining contact with NASA employees who can help keep us aware of and provide opportunities for us to comment on other developing opportunities for interactions with the center. The next slide shows our activities and plans. Our near-term activities include something that's been initiated recently, a pilot program we're calling Ask an Alumnus, to provide a mechanism for Langley employees to interact and communicate with Langley Alumni Association members. And this pilot program has been announced to the management, including individual branch management of the research director and engineering directorates. So we're hoping that will take hold soon. Other things that are under discussion or development include using and cooperating with the mentoring employee resource group called Merge. They have a new matching tool they call Match that will match potential mentors with mentees, and we're discussing a way that the LAA can participate in that mentoring tool as mentors. We've started to provide information to the Langley photo archivist about NASA official photos, and we hope to continue that. And at some point, there's a project ongoing to identify metadata and other information about old movie films that are being digitized. And we want to engage LAA members in providing that information. Our long-term plans include providing additional knowledge services methods and guidance to LAA members. More and more, there are collaborative tools being created to help Langley work with external partners and provide access to NASA assets. And so we'd like to help do that for the benefit of the LAA members and NASA. And we would also like to help people preserve and have access to their body of work that were created while they were a NASA employee. Information that was on their computer, for instance, or that resides in other NASA repositories of various kinds. And I think there's a need also to give former employees guidance regarding when and how to refer requests for the knowledge to others when they can't really handle it themselves. I personally have run into that some. So we're working on those things. Another thing that we're staying informed about is NASA-supported persistent identifiers. And this system of persistent identifiers is under development by NASA now to help people maintain an identity and contact information for current and former employees that will follow people from their current employment status to after they leave NASA, or if they're already left, they can set up an identifier that will, the system and NASA assets and other accessible tools will know who they are. So some of you may have heard of the term ORCID, which is an open researcher identifier that's used to indicate information about authors of NASA and other documents, for instance. So that's starting to get into some of the NASA systems, that we'd like to help promote that as well. So that's what this committee has been up to. And now Olaf Storasli will talk about our communications within the LAA.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Olaf Storsley. Last two speakers are going to be not local to you. I'm in Tennessee, and who follows me is from up in Virginia Tech. So the LAA is welcoming to people that if you are retiring and moving somewhere else, you can still communicate and be part of it. So I want to first congratulate you. I noticed Marty's out there too. He was at my retirement, and now he's in it. So congratulations. So this is kind of like your high school or college graduation. After that, you want to keep in touch with people, and larcalumni.org is one of the ways to do it. We have our website. And to communicate, there are basically four ways. One of them is on site, which we can't really do, so we're doing it by Zoom and soon WebEx. And then we have email, of course, and then we have the website and a newsletter that's just starting up. I'm going to talk about the last two, and the website basically is driven by a menu. And in the menu, the most important part of the menu to you is the fourth one down that says Join LAA. If you click that, you will easily see the basic things of what it is, or who's eligible, and why you should join. And then you can click and join, and you don't have to pay. Okay, we go through the events, typical of the events. This year, the focus is on life after Langley, which you should be interested in. And there are some other things that have been displayed. So you can click on the programs and events and see that. You can look at the meeting minutes. We just put the minutes out there to the last meeting. If you want to see what has transpired, you can see that. And then we have a newsletter starting up. The newsletter is done by one of our, is being prepared for one of our members, Rick Ross, and it'll be 4 pages, and the front page will have all the most, a couple feature stories, and then there'll be reports from officers on the second page, and then there'll be reports from various members. And that can go on to more pages. It's quarterly and starting in June, so the information is going in there now. And I just have said the purpose of it is to review the last quarter, say what's going on now, and then what is going to happen in the future. So then this is how the pages are organized, I mentioned. And this is your newsletter, and so people that are members, we're hoping to get information from them. I believe that's all I have. I just go to the website and go to the Join LAA and find out more about it. The nice brochure is there, which you can see all the reasons why you should join. And it's a kind of a no-brainer because you don't pay and you can have all the benefits. And I would like to turn it over. Michael is up in Virginia Tech area, I believe, right?
That is correct. I retired 6 years ago, January, and I'd already bought a house up here, and had never attended an LA meeting until they started being virtual, which is a very convenient thing. And in fact, if you look at the class of 2024 board members, a majority of us do not live in the Tidewater, Virginia area. So that's and even if you do live in Tidewater, Virginia, and just don't feel like making a drive from Matthews or Virginia Beach that day, or don't feel well, you'll still be able to attend locally. Also, I forgot to add greetings to everybody who's on today, but particularly the many, many names I recognize that I've known all the way back since we were co-ops together. And that was a longer time ago than I care to choose to admit. My colleagues have already described you all the benefits of LAA. I can walk through them again here. You can see this is one page of the brochure you got. But again, Linda and Duncan and everybody else talked about all the different benefits of doing it. Eligibility is not just NASA civil servants. Want to reemphasize that, even though it's been brought up before. It's all federal civil servants, not just Army, and contractors, employees of any of those. One requirement is you had to actually leave employment in good standing. You can't have been fired. But as Ola pointed out just a few minutes ago, first year is free. So after that, dues are $10 a year. And if you want to join for life, like I did in Tau Beta Pi 40 years ago, lifetime membership's only $100. Olaf already showed you the website, and the Join LA button allows you to download, and that's larcalumni.org, as is seen on the screen in the last page of the brochure. If you click on Join LAA, you can download the brochure if you lost your copy or you want to forward it to somebody else that wasn't on this call today. And then you can scroll down from that, and you get the membership form that you fill out, and that gets submitted to our treasurer, Jeff Tennille. And he then passes it along to our communications secretary and me. And so we can keep track of the active membership. So that's, like I said, my colleagues already covered all the high points, but that's a few extra details in there. Hopefully we can get back to the social aspects, and with video conferencing, you can do social aspects with little side chats and things like that and see everybody. But that's really all I have. Again, it's larcalumni.org. Olaf and Rick are working on getting the pages to download more quickly. We switched website providers a little bit ago, and so it was a little slow at first, but it's improving rapidly as they work on it a little bit.
So for everybody that is there, this is a copy of the electronic brochure. So you can actually flip pages on this to see all the information that is contained in there.
We definitely want to say thank you all for joining us today and your interest in the Langley alumni. I did want to mention again that this session was recorded, and we will have a link to this recording loaded on the atlarc.org website in just a few weeks. And we thank you so much for your time. We hope this information was helpful to you.
Thank you very much for joining us.